We will start the meeting with a prayer led by James Kilpatrick.
Father, we thank you, we praise you, we give you the glory, Lord. Thank you so much for the blessings you bestowed upon us, upon the nation, those who meet here freely. Lord, we just ask for your guidance and your protection as we select our leaders. Lord, that you may be a blessing to you, a blessing to our nation, a blessing to themselves and their families. I want to thank you for this meeting tonight. Thank you for it in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, we'll do a flag salute next. We always do this with the oldest veteran present, and I'm not sure who the oldest veteran is. James, you're a veteran. I think you're probably going to be it. Who's older? I'm 69. I just had a birthday.
I'm a little over than you.
Okay, all right.
Pledge
Allegiance
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We're going to start with, we'll continue. Item C on the agenda is the patriotic song. Let's just do God Bless America. And I don't like to do solos. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. Wow, that was great for a crowd this small. So that's very good. I apologize. I mailed the list to the full list, and I don't know. Sometimes, 3 meetings ago we had 280 people showed up, and we couldn't get them in. We had people mad because, had 280 show up for the same mailing, and now here I'm doing this one. I guess people pick and choose what they're coming for, and I understand Debbie said she waited 20 minutes in line here, and I think while I was putting up the stickers, a group of 23 left, so I hope none of our people left because they're full, but we have seating here, but there's no more seating in the house. So maybe we have to work out something with that. If I have people that say, well, I waited in line for 15 minutes and left. Well, I don't know if that's the case. Okay, recognition of office holders. You have any precinct committee men and women here? You see a show of hands? Look at Jared's the precinct committee man. Any others? All right, well, Jared's going to be more than recognized today. On the video, our last meeting in January, we did the political allegory called Don't Look Up. And if you haven't seen Don't Look Up, I really hope you do. It is so good. If you want to, the comfort that it gives you is that someone else sees what you see in the media, and someone else sees this facade of politicians that are just trying to do what's best for themselves and not best for the people. And the writer of that film was the guy that used to write for Saturday Night Live. Can somebody help me? Alan something? Who's into Saturday Night Live? Anyway, he's really good. He's into satire. And he did an excellent job of writing it. Last thing I'll say about that film, when you think the film is over, it's not. They start rolling the names, and then there's like 10% of the film is still after they start rolling the names. And then they do it again, and then they have a joke at the very end. It's like, wow, glad I sat here for the last of it. But anyway, it's really a great movie. And I compare it to the book 1984. George Orwell in England wrote a book 1984 that we still talk about today, especially with what's going on in Ukraine. If the Ukraine would lose those same soldiers that are fighting for their own country now, they would be forced to go fight the Polish or the next country that was going to be taken over. So 1984 was absolutely prophetic, and this film, the story is about an asteroid, but it doesn't matter what the story is. The real story is the corruption of the media and the corruption of people in government. So, okay, the treasurer's report is on the back. I didn't do a great job on the treasurer's report, but I got the numbers that everybody's interested in, and every number that's on there is valid and correct. If you're real interested in how much we spent on postage stamps and constant contact and things like that, obviously the elephant in the room was $118,144 spent on the recall. And we still owe about half of that, and the money was given to me and loaned to the organization. We started a new account. You'll notice instead of having just 3 accounts, now we got 4. The 4th one is called Designated Election Integrity. And we already have a couple of non-Republicans voting to that. And they don't want their money intermingled with the general funds for this organization, which I understand that. They want to help us, but only want to help us on election integrity, just like the fluoride people. So, you know, we already know how to do it. We already know how to segregate the funds, and we've been trusted 100%. You know, we had more donations from Democrats on the fluoride fight than we had from Republicans. And so we're going to do it the same way. That designated election integrity funds, they will be separate. We will not spend that for any regular routine expense or anything like that. It's going to go specifically for the job. So far, as you see down at the bottom, there have been no expenditures to date from the KRA Election Integrity Fund. But we didn't open that fund until after we did the $118,144 to the Secretary of State. The last thing on that that I will mention, I felt bad because we had to, our system wasn't set up, the field size and all this wasn't set up for a 6-digit number. And yeah, because how often we've never had you know, over 100,000 in the account before. But the Secretary of State, when they went to charge us for it, the 118,000, they couldn't run it either. The most that they can run on somebody's credit card is 99,000. So they did two runs, one for 99,000 and then another one for 19,144. I wish we could have done the whole state. That issue is still not over. We'll be talking a little bit more about a resolution that I want to get going on the website as well as introduce here at this meeting. But tonight, on the minutes and the treasurer's report, obviously on the minutes, they won't let us show a copyrighted movie. We can't load that up on the minutes because it would be copyright infringement. And so I need a motion to accept the minutes and the treasurer's report. We can do that at the same time. Do we have a motion? Okay, we have a motion here. Do I have a second to the motion? AJ, well, Debbie, we got 2 seconds here. And all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. All right, well, tonight we have 2 wonderful new candidates for mayor. Neither of you have run for mayor before, is that right? Okay, so the big question arises, who goes first, right? Well, you can say ladies first, but maybe that's, huh?
It's always ladies first.
Always ladies first? Well, how about this? I had another idea. I thought, how about we ask who knows who was the first mayor of Wichita? And I will tell you this much. The first mayor of Wichita took office how many years ago? Show me a guess.
1860.
About how many years ago is this?
I'd say 60 years ago.
151 years ago he took office.
1870.
Huh?
1870 something.
And who? Anybody by chance know his name? It wouldn't surprise me if nobody knows his name.
Kellogg.
No, it wasn't. It was a good guess though. It was Edwin Byrd Ellen from Ohio. And he went on, and this is just something that might happen to our mayor candidates tonight. He went on to become a state legislator in Topeka, and then he went on to become the Secretary of State of Kansas. So he started out as a mayor here in Wichita and moved right on up. He was our very first mayor. He served from 1871 to 1872.
What was the name again?
His name is Edwin Byrd Ellen, A-L-L-E-N. Edwin Byrd Ellen. So,
Nothing named after him?
all right, so nobody knew that one. How about this? Here, we got a plan B here. Who's the mayor before our current mayor, Brandon Whittle? Who can name the mayor before Brandon Whittle?
Jeff
Huh? Okay. And who before Jeff Longwell?
Carl Brewer.
And who before Carl Brewer?
Carlos
Who before Carlos Mans?
Knight.
Who before Bob Knight?
It was lady. Elma Broadfoot.
Very good. Are we down to one person? Who before Elma Broadfoot? Who was mayor before Elma Broadfoot? Elma was mayor from 1993 to 1995. Now, certainly there's people here that remember before 1993. I think that's the year that Julie was born, right?
Wrong.
Okay, so that was Frank Ogile. He's still an attorney here in town. And then before that was Bob Knight again. How many times did Bob Knight serve non-consecutive terms like Grover Cleveland, U.S. President? How many times? 4 times. 4 times. Bob Knight was in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. So, all right. Jared, you win, so you get to stay. You don't get to go first. You get to say who goes first.
I will let my opponent go first.
Julie,
So do I stand?
you stand and you tell us why you're here for running for mayor.
My name is Julie Rose Stroud. I've been in the city of Wichita my whole life. Currently, I'm an environmental health and safety professional. I dedicate my entire life to protecting other people. My passion is to protect other people, to educate them so that they can make the best decisions for themselves. From the air you breathe, the water you drink, to the land you sleep, you are a product of your environment. If your environment is not healthy and safe, you're not healthy and safe either. It is 2020-23. We can make good business decisions and keep our people safe and healthy. We need clean water for everyone. We need clean air. We need clean land. We need to be educated. We need to educate the children in our schools. We need to educate our community so they can make the best decisions for their health. If our community is healthy, our economy will be healthy. I am currently an environmental health and safety manager for a chemical company. Previously, I was an environmental manager for a pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, if you have received the vaccine. Before working for Pfizer, I worked for Yingling Aviation as the environmental health and safety manager. It's by the airport if you are familiar. Before that, I worked for the Kansas Department of Health and Environment as an environmental compliance regulatory specialist. I inspected facilities. I made sure they were in compliance per the EPA and Kansas rules and regulations. Before working for the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, I spent I spent some time selling insurance. So I worked with retirees on selecting the best Medicare supplements to go with their retirement. And I helped them select what was best for them. So I understand some of the things that they face in our community. Before working as an insurance agent, I worked for the City of Wichita Drinking Water Laboratory. I helped with the EPA lead and copper rule. I also delegated on Capitol Hill to the Environmental Protection Agency and members of Congress for the water infrastructure funding and the Farm Bill. Before my time working for the City of Wichita, I was an high school teacher for USD 259. I was a science teacher, biology and environmental science. My time as an environmental science teacher is what propelled me into the environmental sector, protecting the environment and also protecting people. I am pro-choice. I feel that women need to have that decision. They should be able to decide what happens to their body. But there's a caveat. I am pro-educated choice. We need to provide the education. When I was 18 years old, I was pregnant. And I graduated high school here, Wichita, West High. 5 months pregnant. I went on to college 2 months later. On my 18th birthday, I spoke to my mom about it. I let her know. And I remember my mother's words. She told me that she would support me in whatever decision I chose, but that I would have to be educated 100% on whatever I did choose. If I chose this, I would need to know the repercussions. And if I chose this path, I would need to know the repercussions. We should be responsible as a community to provide education and support to women and children and men and educate them. I also believe in efficient taxation. We need to know where our dollars are coming from, where they are going, and why they are going. If there is a purpose for our money to be spent this way, there needs to be investigations, follow-up audits. I am an ISO 9001 trained, quality management. It is important to follow through with the plans that we have in place and to do audits to make sure that whatever plans we have are being played out as we thought they should. Criminal justice reform. Police should have positive interactions within the community. Their first encounter should not be a negative one. Build strong relationships, have effective communication, so that when police do show up to a scene, they already have that relationship established with everyone, that they can mitigate that situation without escalating into something else. Definitely economic development. I see Wichita spreading and spreading. Well, here we have lots of areas within our city that have been neglected, and we can utilize those areas for new and improved innovative ideas. We need to get the community more involved, and at all ages, at all levels, and everyone's voice should be heard. All ideas are important and valuable, and it is important that we are able to reach to everyone of the community and make that communication exchange easy. School safety is a big one. There hasn't been school shootings in Wichita.
3 minutes.
That I know of. Mental health is really important. Innovative medical planning. We need to have plans for our medical. Healthy environment. Healthy you. Healthy economy. Not only do I want what's best for the city of Wichita, I want the best city of Wichita for you. Thank you for listening.
All right.
Jared, I'm going to give you 9 minutes.
Okay. First off, thank you for having me. My name's Jared Cerullo, and I'm a lifelong South Wichita guy. I've lived in South Wichita my entire life, and I've had opportunities to leave Wichita, and I've said no, because Wichita is my home. I love Wichita. I will hopefully be here for the rest of my life. I am a product of Campus High School in Hayesville. We lived so far south that we went to Hayesville schools. I grew up in the area of 55th and Broadway, and still live in that area to this day, down by 63rd and Hydraulic. So South Wichita is a big issue to me. I've been a journalist all my life. Shortly after high school, I went to work for KFDI Radio and worked at KFDI in the news department for about 15 years. And after that, I accepted a position at Cape Channel 10 and worked 7 or 8 years as a news reporter and anchor at Cape Channel 10. Now, I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed for the past 7 or 8 years now, and I work entirely from home. I service radio stations. I do a lot of voice work. I service radio stations with their commercial voice needs. I do a lot of newscasts, weather forecasting, traffic reporting for radio stations all over the country, and I do it from home in this day and age. With the internet, it's crazy. I do live traffic reports for stations in Charlotte, North Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm sitting in my office in my home in South Wichita. People have no idea. I'm running for mayor because I think my knowledge and background will be an excellent help to the city of Wichita. I've been a government reporter for many, many years. I've been a watchdog over city council, school boards, county commission for many years. I've uncovered corruption at the city and county level. And I think my experience as a journalist for more than 25 years, as an open-minded, objective journalist, will serve me well in the mayor's office. Our city hall currently has an ethical problem. Our current mayor's office currently has an integrity and an ethical problem that we need to fix immediately. Our current mayor has destroyed the relationship between the police department and the mayor's office. We have a police chief that is barely 2 months into the job. How is he supposed to do his job when we have a current mayor that is clearly anti-police? He's out in the media telling people that a police officer who was attacked by a teenager, quote, tried to kill that boy at the skating rink here a few months ago, when that police officer had been attacked by these two teenagers. What is that police officer supposed to do? He has to defend himself. He has to do his best to de-escalate the situation, but we shouldn't have a mayor out there who doesn't know all of the facts in the first place, talking to the media and telling people that that police officer, quote, tried to kill that boy, which is not what happened at all. Our current mayor has some ethical problems that need to be fixed. Many of you may have seen in the media a few months ago that the mayor is a landlord. He tried to take his business-related trash to a neighborhood cleanup, and he got caught, and a police officer questioned him about it. And the mayor said, "How dare you? Do you know who I am?" And the police officer said, "Well, yes, I do know who you are, Mayor, but this neighborhood cleanup isn't designed for your landlord trash, your business-related trash." And so he got caught up with that. Our current mayor has hired, he created a $75,000 position, usurping the city hiring process by creating his executive assistant position that he gave to his best friend and campaign advisor. I don't think we need to be doing that, and especially with tax dollars, creating a $75,000 taxpayer-funded position that wasn't approved by the council. He put his best friend on the park board. That's an issue. I don't think we should be putting our friends on the park board. We should be putting knowledgeable people that know about the issues that we're talking about on our city committees and boards. Century 2 is going to be a big issue in the next 4 years. I personally believe we need to save Century 2. I do not believe
I agree.
we should not be tearing down Century 2. And we should not be doing anything downtown. We should not be talking about $1.5 billion tax increase on our citizens for private businesses. Do we need to do something for performing arts in Wichita? Yes, absolutely, we do. Performing arts needs to be out of Century 2. Century 2 is completely outgrown. Performing arts has completely outgrown Century 2. The building is not logistical anymore for the shows that we have today. Do we need to build a performing arts center? Yes, but not on the backs of taxpayers at all. The Riverfront Ballpark Stadium was a debacle that now we were told was going to cost $80 million, has turned into $130 million on the backs of taxpayers. We're going to be talking very likely about a tax increase because the taxing district around the Riverfront Ballpark Stadium is not paying off the debt that it was designed to create. There's a special tax that goes on. If you shop in the Delano area, you pay more, slightly more in taxes, and that extra is supposed to go to pay off the ballpark debt. What happens if that district is not generating enough money to pay off the ballpark debt? Guess who has to make up for it? All the citizens of Wichita. And that's what's going to happen. Currently, the baseball team is only drawing maybe 2,000, 2,500 on a good night. On a weekend, they might get 3,000. It's half full. Riverfront Stadium is half full. So we've got this problem now. We need to generate people to go to those baseball games. We've got this problem that we need to deal with. I'm not saying we need to abandon the project. It's there. We have to deal with it now. But we also, speaking of the ballpark, should not be giving away riverfront land for $1 an acre. That's crazy, The developers of the ballpark are not holding up to their end of the deal in developing that land. And here the city had to extend the agreement again for development on the west bank of the river. They need to be held to their feet need to be held to the fire and get development going on there. Otherwise, we need to find someone else to do it. The water treatment plant is currently under construction in northwest Wichita. If you've been over by the zoo, on the other side of Zoo Boulevard, the water treatment plant is well underway. It is the city's biggest capital improvement project in history. It's a $500 million project. We need to make sure that that project is going well and staying on track and getting contractors in there and hiring local people, supporting local jobs in finishing that water treatment plant. South Wichita sewage treatment plants continue to plague our entire city. The odors and the smells in South Wichita are not good, and nobody wants to focus on those problems because it's just South Wichita, you know. Nobody cares about South Wichita, but I'm telling you right now, South Wichita problems bring our entire city down. And we need to solve crime and prostitution problems on South Wichita. We have a terrible homeless problem in this city right now. If you've been downtown, in the area of downtown, just a year or so ago, we had an issue where the police department had to deal with a lot of homeless people that were literally camping out and staying all day, every day, all night on Topeka Street. We had to solve that problem, but the issue is they kick them out, and where they move, where do they go? They've got to go somewhere. And many of these issues, and granted, the city is working with the county right now on developing a multifaceted homeless mental health district. It's going to be in the area of St. Francis Hospital. Am I done?
Yeah.
Okay. But I would appreciate your vote in August in the primary. We need to make a change in the city of Wichita. Our city has been lagging behind for too long, 20 years, and we need to make a change.
All right. Okay, that brings us up to the Q&A. If you have a question, please get right to the question. We don't want you to be the speaker and make statements. Please just ask your question concisely. And with a small group here, I'm sure you'll get a chance for more than one. Does anyone have a question for either?
Century 2.
Okay, first of all, one more thing, AJ, I'm sorry. If you would specify if it's for both candidates or one or the other, that would be nice.
Well, it would be for the whole city, so I imagine
For
it would be
both.
for both,
Okay.
both candidates. And
Okay.
I came here in 1969, so I definitely understand that building and what it means to Wichita. And I've never understood why they are attacking that historical
It's
building.
wealthy developers.
Because, there's not very many, they're trying to get rid of a lot of historical sites in Wichita to begin with, and that's a pinnacle one, everybody knows that one. So is there a way that we can keep that, or keep them from actually doing what they want to do to that?
Okay. Julie, why don't you go first, and since you just spoke, I'll have Julie go first, and then we'll alternate who goes first.
Sure.
You bring up a good point. We need to know what the reasoning is behind why they want to get rid of it. All of the reasons, all right? What are the reasons why we want to keep it as a city? Those all need to be evaluated and heard. And then what really needs to be done is, are we really saving money by tearing down and rebuilding? And if we do rebuild, what would we rebuild that would bring money back to the city? It is a huge cornerstone of the city of Wichita. I love Century 2. I've been here all my life. You look at a map, you can see it from above. I've been in a plane up above city of Wichita, and I can identify that from the plane riding around.
Exactly.
I love Century 2. I don't want to tear down Century 2, but thorough investigations need to be taken place on the structure of Century 2 from multiple construction engineers. And we need to get multiple input from the different engineers in construction on the actual structural integrity of Century 2 as it is right now. Okay, once we have that piece of information, then we can go in and evaluate how much money is it going to make sure that it is structurally sound going forward today, tomorrow, in the future. Okay, and then compare that to rebuilding or other options that we may have. But it needs to be taken into consideration the health and safety of our environment if we do choose to tear it down. Because you may not be known that there is asbestos in certain types of cement. So that's one thing to take into consideration. So that those sort of investigations, those sort of inspections should be taking place before anything happens. We need to know the facts, evaluate those facts, and then proceed accordingly.
Jared?
About 4 or 5 years ago, you may remember, there was a small group that came forward called the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan. And this group was behind the effort to tear down Century 2. And this group is highly funded and highly supported by a bunch of wealthy developers in the city of Wichita who see money. That's the only reason, that is the only reason that anybody ever started about talking about tearing Century 2 down. Because the Chamber of Commerce came up with this plan, with the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan, and it's all very highly supported by wealthy developers. And again, like I said, do we need to think about redevelopment downtown? Yes, absolutely. We need to stop this urban flight. You know, seeing all the suburbs, you know, everybody is moving out to the suburbs while our core is disintegrating. And that's been happening for 20 years. Yes, we absolutely need to redevelop downtown. But getting back to your question about can we save Century 2, yes, I think we can save Century 2. The city of Wichita already has on its books right now an ordinance that says we cannot tear down Century 2 without a public vote. That public vote would not be binding, but if there were ever a public vote of something like that, I would stand by it.
That's not happened. That's not happened.
That has not happened, and there will be an effort. There is an effort underway right now to get it on the ballot by the end of this year to determine Century 2's future once and for all. And whatever that vote is, I would stand by it. You know, whatever that vote is, and I think it's going to be highly in favor of saving Century 2, but it's neither here nor there.
Next question, James?
Yeah, should the city of Wichita be responsible for building homes for people?
Should the city of Wichita be responsible for building homes for people? Jared, you go first this time.
Well, I guess the short answer to that, I mean, there's got to be, what are you getting at? The short answer is no, I don't.
They're going to build tiny homes down in the south end of the neighborhood.
That's the homeless.
Government housing that's going to be given to homeless and whatever.
First I've heard of that.
The other thing that is, the government housing has a terrible record.
Absolutely.
And if you build it, we're going to get slums out of it.
Well, it's the same thing that's happened on South Hydraulic. We have an area, the streets are called the ABC streets. It's, I can't remember the names of the streets, but they're all in alphabetical order. North of I-135 on Hydraulic toward Wausau, South Wichita. That whole area on the west side of Hydraulic is city subsidized housing. And 80% of it is currently vacant. So it's all dilapidated and falling apart, and vagrants are getting in there. We've got plenty of housing on the stock right now in the city's inventory. Why are we talking about building new? That doesn't make sense.
Well, no, my point is, should the government even build it, period?
No, I don't think so. No.
Why should my tax dollars go to furnish another person to live?
Absolutely not.
Julie?
My thoughts are we need to know the background. Who's going to be living there? Why are they going to be living there? What are they going to be doing while they are living there? Are they going to be contributing to our community in a positive manner somehow? I mean, if we are going to build houses for our community, those people living in there should be positively providing for our community, the city of Wichita, in some sort of a manner.
If that's the case, you would need the government to build it.
Right on. You wouldn't, right? But I mean, that's sort of rehabilitating them into getting our community back together. But before we go and build houses for the community, whoever they might be, we should be educating our community and providing health care to them so that we would not need to build houses for them, that they could essentially build their own home. So that's my back on it. Before we build houses for the community, we should be proactively preventing that from happening in the first place.
Ultimately, we all pay for it anyway, right? We're all going to be paying for it. Next question, anyway, Jason.
This will go.
Deborah, you're next.
Go for
Go ahead,
both of
Jason.
you. Would you support a sanctuary city for the unborn ordinance? Do you know what that is?
Say it a little louder.
Sanctuary city for the unborn, would you support an initiative like that?
Okay. I think it was partially answered in the opening remarks, but the question is,
Well-
would you support sanctuary city for the unborn? And Jared, you're first this time.
What do you mean by sanctuary city for the unborn? Would you? I mean, I can tell you,
I've never heard of that.
It would outlaw
I mean, I know
abortions.
Wichita has been deemed as a sanctuary city, but I didn't know that there was any thought on the table about supporting sanctuary
Normally,
unborns.
the term sanctuary city has to do with immigration.
Immigration,
Yeah.
right.
Well, let me try and answer the question. First off, I am pro-life. I am very pro-life. I do not support abortion, and we should absolutely not be allowing any tax dollars to go to Planned Parenthood and supporting an abortion at all. Period. But many of these topics, however, are not city-level topics. When we talk about abortion, when we talk about the environment, when we talk about universal health insurance, those aren't city topics at all.
I feel that.
Those are state-level issues. Those aren't anything that the city of Wichita is going to be able to make any decision whatsoever on affecting.
Mark, can you explain sanctuary? Because you'd explain better than I would about sanctuary city. Like other cities have passed this.
Yes. Yeah.
Bellevue, Nebraska is getting ready to pass
Yeah,
it.
there's
right now.
there's about 50 cities in America now that have passed that. And what it's basically doing is saying, by our Constitution in our state, we have more authority than the federal government or the local control wording in your Constitution will give them a right, and it's going to be upheld in court.
Home rule.
You could outlaw abortion in Wichita, and they would have to build the abortion facilities in the county. And then the county could say, well, we're not going to allow abortion in, they could become a sanctuary county. You could do that. It's happening mostly with immigration. In fact, right now, most of your bigger cities, they are all immigration sanctuary cities. Of the 50 cities that are sanctuary cities for the unborn, there's some sizable cities in there, but it's none of the real big cities.
Personally, I don't think we should have abortion clinics. I think abortion is is something that should only be done to save the mother's life or the child, or abortion is not. I am totally against abortion. I'm a pro-life candidate. I think abortion is something that should be done in a medical facility like a hospital, or I don't think we should be allowing abortion clinics at all. Like we had out on East Kellogg with Dr.
So
Tiller's
I think
outfit.
that answer is yes. We got one yes. Okay, Julie, would you like to address Jason's question?
Well, to add comment or to his point of view, how can you get rid of abortion and then also want to only have abortions in a medical facility? Because if you outlaw abortion, they're not going to be able to get it in a medical facility. They'll do it in their bathroom. And while children are precious, it would be a very difficult decision to ever have an abortion in the first place. But women should be able to make that decision on their own. But they need to be educated. Pro-educated choice of what the outcome is. It should not be made with haste. And if they do decide to do that, then we should provide them that facility to get that. Yes, we should provide that to them so they have it done safely. And at the same comment to yours, it is our responsibility at the city level to make sure that the environment is maintained, because as I mentioned, Century 2 with the asbestos and the cement, if that's a possibility, we don't know, but investigations need to take place. We should provide women a safe place for their health, and we also should provide the education to prevent unwanted pregnancies from occurring in the first place. And proactive all the way. We need to be proactive at preventing unwanted pregnancies, and then also preventing pregnancies that have to be aborted, maybe due to a chromosomal abnormalities that were caused because of an environmental exposure to mutagens.
I will challenge you on that one later, but Debbie has the next question. Deborah?
Thank you. We're having crime issues in the city. What do you feel is the major crime issue, and what pathway of resolution do you suggest?
I think I went first last time. So.
Yes. Thank you.
I strongly believe that the police here are not interacting with the community in a positive manner. They should be out getting to know people, talking with the community, building effective relationships, and building trust within the community. I also feel that the entire police agency, all of the criminal justice system needs to be audited. We need to have outside auditors come in. But I honestly feel that just getting out into the community and establishing those effective relationships would make a huge difference. The first encounter to the public should not be a negative one.
Deborah, does that answer your question? Okay. Jared, you want to take
Well,
a stab at it?
unfortunately, many times the reality is the first encounter with anyone, whether it's a child or an adult, their first encounter with a police officer is negative by nature. They've been some broken into their house, or they've been in a car accident, or whatever the situation may be. That's just the reality of the situation. But to get back to your question, I think there's two issues that are the root cause. Number one is parenting. Many times we have kids that are out there as repeat offenders because they don't have parents. I think we need to hold parents more accountable for what their minor children are out doing, for stealing cars, breaking into buildings, whatever. We need to hold parents more accountable. And the second issue is fentanyl and drugs running rampant, especially on South Broadway. Prostitution is an issue. Thankfully, we don't have quite the gang problem we saw back in the early 90s, but gangs are very much still a factor in crime in South Central Kansas. But I think those are the two issues. We have to solve this drug problem. And many times, a lot of that issue is going to be partnering with the city, partnering with the county and their ComCare. The city of Wichita doesn't have a health department. That's the county. That doesn't mean that the city of Wichita can't be supportive of any initiatives that we might want to come up with. But from a law enforcement standpoint, the unfortunate reality is many times your first encounter with a police officer is going to be negative. And I would highly disagree with the statement that our police department is not out communicating with the public, because they've very much, we have an entire division of the police department called the Community Policing Division, that their sole job is not to answer 911 calls. Their sole job, every single beat in the city of Wichita has a community police officer, and their sole job is to go out and knock on doors and meet people and say hi and come up with ways to have positive interactions with people, with their community. So I would highly disagree with the statement that our police department is not out communicating positively with our community, because they are.
Okay. Your question's been answered. I take it. I think those are good answers. Debbie Baker, you have a question?
Well, I've been hearing that our police department is short, that we could use at least 70 more policemen, and estimates have been up to 270 more policemen to actually be fully staffed. And even though they are having training for policemen, the men who and the women who go through that training don't meet the qualifications. So sometimes only just a handful graduate, and then I'm hearing that some after 2 weeks or 2 months on the job they quit because it's just overwhelming to them.
Yeah.
And part of it is the lack of support
Yeah.
because there aren't enough of them. They're overworked. So what is there an answer for that?
Well, as I mentioned, my job right now, I supply news products to radio stations all over the country, and one of the markets that I work in is Memphis, Tennessee. And Memphis is right now dealing with an issue over the past couple of years. They started lowering the standards to become a police officer to where all you needed was barely even a GED to become a police officer. So here we are over the past 4 or 5 years because they couldn't get anybody to sign on in a crime-ridden town like Memphis, Tennessee.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah. Well, then they started offering sign-on bonuses, $5,000, $8,000 sign-on bonuses. Come be a police officer. They go through the training, and within a year they're gone. They took the $8,000 and their $50,000 salary for the year, and they're gone to higher paying departments elsewhere or whatever. But you know, I don't know if there's an answer to that. But we can't lower the standards for, we still need to require education in order to be a police officer. We should not be allowing people coming in off the street, quite frankly, to be police officers, and that's what the city of Memphis pretty much did. So,
Julie, on the question of not enough police officers.
I think you bring up a good point because in your question you mentioned the officers, some of them getting hired on and not being able to just withstand everything that was being thrown at them. Overwhelmed, you stated they were overwhelmed. And I've had 25 jobs in the last 15 years. So I do know what it's like starting a new job. And it is extremely difficult, especially when you are not supported by the people who you will be joining. And so I think you bring actually a really good point. I mean, we have a problem with the police, and you kind of brought it at a different angle, supporting the new coming police officers as they enter their, beginning years as a police for the community. And so that's a very interesting and important aspect, I think, that needs to be looked at. I think we could develop as a city a plan that would help onboard them and get them the support they need to be effective police in our community. And I would agree that we don't have enough police.
Okay, very good. We are running short on time, but Bridget Koss, go ahead. I don't want to turn down a question from a young lady.
For both of you, what is your approach to the teacher shortage and little amount of sick days?
Okay, the teacher shortage and the second part of your question?
The certain amount of sick days students are able to.
Not enough sick days and too short of teachers. Okay, this is not maybe exactly a city question, but we're going to let them have it. Julie, you go first. She has a question. Did you hear the question?
I did. Thank you. So as a teacher, I spent time as a high school teacher, so I know firsthand how it is to be overwhelmed in the classroom. I know what it's like to be sick and not be able to take a day off because, well, frankly, if you do, you'll be flooded with work when you come back and your students need you. We do have a shortage in substitute teachers and teachers in general. Teachers are overworked and underpaid, quite frankly. And there needs to be an investigation on where our money is being spent in the education realm. Where are the dollars going to and why? And then we need to do further investigation to figure out if we can allocate funds here for this and just come up with a whole bunch of different ideas, different plans and such like that. But teachers do need breaks. Teachers are extremely important. Education is important to me, and we should provide our children the opportunity to become something to do something with their life. to give them the hope so that they stay off of the streets. A lot of the times, the teachers are the one solid adult that they have in their life, and that is for the majority of the city of Wichita. Their parents are not there. Hold their parents accountable for the things that they're getting into, but in reality, their parents are not in the home, but that teacher is there. And so at the end of the day, teachers are extremely important in fighting the crime and providing the education that our community needs to be prosperous in the future.
Okay, Jared, did you hear the question?
Yes, I did hear the question, and I have several teachers in my family, so I will always have a positive heart for educators. But the short answer to your question is that it's, again, really not a city-level issue. We have a school board that deals with those very issues, and those are elected positions as well. One thing that I would say about USD 259 and the Wichita school district is I believe that our administration is way too top-heavy. Our superintendent's salary at this point in time is now more than $350,000 a year. And I think that is entirely too much to be playing, you know. And then the argument they'll say is, well, we won't attract a quality person. I would disagree with that. I think we need to utilize. And by the way, our school district's budget is actually bigger than the entire city of Wichita's budget. The city of Wichita's budget is annually about $670 million. But USD 259, the school district's budget is over $1 billion a year.
Wow.
So, yeah, you may not know that the school district's budget is bigger than the entire city of Wichita's budget.
Okay, we're running out of time. I'm going to take the opportunity to ask the last question. About 10 years ago, we had a referendum in Wichita concerning adding fluoride to the drinking water. This organization got involved because at first we didn't know anything about it, and then we invited people that taught us what was going on, and we ended up being extremely involved in the fluoride fight. And we took a proposed, it was the surveys said that the adding fluoride to the water was going to win 60-40. And with this organization and our friends on the Democrat side working together, we turned that upside down. We won 59 to 31. And so we're really proud. We just turned that on its head. And that, we had only $10,000 to work with, and the Pew Foundation was spending over $1 million against us. And that just goes to show you that money isn't always the answer. My question on the fluoride issue is this. We still have 3 parts per million. We do not add fluoride to Wichita's water. We still have 3 parts per million in the Wichita water. And also, we have other heavy metals in the Wichita water that they run completely up to the limit. And I'm going to be violating my own rule here if I don't just ask the question here. But like if someone's driving right at the limit, 1 point less than the limit of being drunk, I still don't want to ride with that person. In the same way, I don't want to drink water that the chromium or the cadmium or the fluoride or whatever, even if the fluoride could be up to 7 parts per million and it's only 3.5 parts per million, I won't drink that water because I know it hurts the brain and it makes Alzheimer's disease more likely, and it grows. Almost every cancer is exacerbated because of it. My question then is, what should we do about the 3 parts per million fluoride in the Wichita water, if anything?
Am I first? I can't remember.
I think you're first
Okay.
up, yes.
Well, first off, I do not support the city adding fluoride to our water supply. Absolutely not. That is something that there are ways that you can work with your dentist. If you are appropriately brushing your teeth, toothpaste has fluoride in it. You can buy special toothpaste with more fluoride in it. A good dental health starts at home, not at City Hall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And fluoride doesn't help the teeth.
But as far as the 3.5 parts per million that is currently there, I know, I'll be the first to admit I'm not educated on the subject, but I would definitely get with the water superintendent to figure out ways that we can. Is there products out there
There's a
that
way
we
to get
can
it out,
be
but it's real
using?
expensive. It's real expensive to try to get it out.
I would definitely be open to discussing
Reverse-
that with the water superintendent. Reverse osmosis.
Reverse
Yep.
osmosis is the only way, and that wastes like 7 gallons for every gallon you save.
Yeah.
So it's really expensive to do it that way. And you probably don't need unfluoridated water to flush your toilet, but for anything that you're consuming, it should not be fluoridated. Anyway,
I agree.
that's a big problem that we have. As long as we're not adding it,
Yep.
that's at least one thing, but.
Yep. The only thing we should be putting in our water is chlorine and things to keep it clean and safe and eliminate the
Bacteria-free.
bacteria and bad things, yeah.
Julie?
I would agree that we should not add fluoride to the water. We can get fluoride from our dentist, from the toothpaste. You also have to take into consideration the money that would be spent on adding fluoride to the water. And not only that, but the tests that they would have to run to ensure it was at an appropriate level. But it just brings you back to the point of keeping your environment clean, because the heavy metals in the water, they're not going to go down. They will continue to rise. And the heavy metals are a product of the industries that are throughout our city and our community. And so it's important to make them accountable and ensure that they are following the regulations to prevent contamination into our water, into our air, and onto our land.
Sounds like a no for both of you, and that's good. We don't want fluoride added to the water. All right, we are running out of time. We're supposed to close here at 8. Let's give both of these candidates a hand. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate all of your answers. And we have a couple of agenda items we're going to get on to right now. On the old business thing here, I'm going to read what I have, but I don't think we have a large enough group to even have a discussion, and I want this discussion to continue online. But let me just introduce it, and I would like for the voting, well, for the members here, whether you're paid or not. Debbie, I want your comment too. KRA resolution asking Attorney General Chris Kobach to criminally charge Secretary of State Scott Schwab for his intentional violation of KSA 252437, subsection A1B, and KSA 252437. I'm 2437. Oops, there's an extra 9 in there. That doesn't belong there. It's just subsection C. In both cases, this has to do with Scott Schwab enabling the ballot harvesters to get around the law that they could only throw in 10 ballots into a drop box or a mailbox, that they could do their own ballot plus 10, but they couldn't do more than 10. And the way he got around that is enabling them to use fictitious names, and no one would ask them, so they could use any name they wanted. And it was a complete violation of all the work. All of us in here are taxpayers. We all paid money to our legislators to come up with this not a very good law in the first place, just limiting the ballot harvesters to 10. I would like to limit it to like only if it's your grandmother or somebody that really can't make it or you have to do it. But to even have a law that weak, and then to have the Secretary of State just on his own accord says, I didn't support the law. I don't care if it passed the legislature and if the governor signed it. I'm the Secretary of State and I'm not going to obey that law. We're losing the whole idea of the concept of the rule of law if we let this go. And so far we have. And that's not right. Everyone should obey the law. And furthermore, this being a Republican group, I think it's more important for Republicans to clean up our own house and to discipline our own party than it is for those who say, well, let the Democrats do it. No. Let the Democrats clean up the Democrat Party and let the Republicans clean up the Republican Party. That would be a whole lot more effective, a whole lot cheaper, a whole lot more efficient, and it would be a better way to go to clean your own house. And we can't let this stand because what is the next major office holder that's gonna say, you know, I don't like that law, and therefore I'm not gonna follow it, and I'm gonna direct 105 county clerks to not follow the law. Then the county clerks are saying, do I follow the law, or do I follow what the Secretary of State says? And when it comes down to it, they have to follow the Secretary of State, because he's their boss. We have to do something. I don't see that we can not do something, but I wanna hear what you think. James, what do you think?
You said it was the law.
It is a law.
What's that got to do with Democrat or Republican?
No, it's not. It doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or
You need to
Republican.
get back to being
By-
American and either obey the law or not.
Amen.
Amen.
So would you support a resolution? If this were to come to a vote, it's not gonna come to a vote tonight, but Debbie, you would?
Of course.
Deborah, we got two Debbies right in the same spot here. Debbie and Deborah. Deborah, would you support? He should have, I mean, Scott, up until the primary election and the time briefly before that, you know, Scott was my friend. I always considered him to be my friend. And then, you know, I ended up taking him to court over this, and then it was moot because the election had already happened before the hearing did, and so, AJ, what is your thoughts?
I support it. I mean, it's the law. I mean, the law, I mean, people like to try to circumvent it to make it to suit their needs. And there's where the issue is. I mean, if they don't know how to follow the law, then they should suffer the consequences if they don't.
I think so too. I think you should be penalized. I think you should have a big fine. Jared?
I want to say something about, since you're on the topic of ballot harvesting, I lost my city council race in 2021 by 80 votes. 80. That's how many I lost my council race by. And my opponent was handpicked by this current mayor to defeat me. He was supported very heavily by the Democrats. My opponent's wife and the mayor's wife are best friends. They were bridesmaids in each other's weddings. I don't think we need to be putting our friends on the council, number one. But number two, I lost because the Democrats were ballot harvesting out there. The local Democrats are going and knocking on people's doors. Hi, my name's Bill. Are you registered to vote? If they say no, then they say, here's the little paper. Sign it. You can register to vote. I'll take it back to the county election office for you. And then when the paperwork comes back in 2 weeks, they go back to their door and say, hi, I'm so-and-so with council member candidate Mike Hoheisel's campaign. I got you registered to vote last month. Will you support, here's your ballot, can you sign the paper to get your mail ballot? And then as soon as the mail ballot comes in 2 weeks, they go back and knock on their door again. Hi, I just noticed you got your ballot back in the mail. I'm with Councilmember Mike Hoheisel's campaign. Vote for Mike Hoheisel. I'll even take your ballot back to the election office for you. You don't even have to put any.
And you're making it nice as if someone was actually voting.
Yep.
What about the phantom voters? And for those that say there's no such thing, you're looking at one, me, there's a Mark Dietzen, me, registered to vote, and there was another one, not me, registered by the motor voter bill. Lord knows who that Mark voted for, how many times, where, and for what. And once you get a barcode on a ballot, there's no telling which is which. And this is why this matters. I think election integrity is terribly important. Anyway, I had the shepherd hook come in here and grab me by the heel, so we got to get out of here. We are going to move on down. We have we're looking for a new treasurer. Anybody that's good with money, if you know somebody would like to do a whole lot of work and get paid nothing for it, and wants a lot of headache, we need a new treasurer. Troy quit during the recount because he couldn't field all of the calls from the media. Obviously, if you want to become a supporting member, we're here to take your money. And the Pachyderm Club tomorrow is featuring Michael Austin, who's what is this, AFP, what is that?
That's Americans for Prosperity.
Americans for Prosperity economist Michael Austin will be speaking tomorrow. If you haven't been to the Pachyderm Club, you can go there as my guest the first time. I buy your meal. And then after that, you can join or decide not to. But I used to be president of the Pachyderm Club, and I'm still the #1 recruiter. I have more people join the Pachyderm because of this group and
It's a good group of
meeting them
people.
elsewhere. So Julie, you're invited to the Pachyderm tomorrow if you'd like. Hopefully you'll be speaking there someday, so you might want to do that. It's noon at Century 2 right here. Well, actually,
Ruffin Building.
the Ruffin Building, I say at noon, they want to, they're a little early and I'm always there a
What
little
day is
later.
that?
Huh?
What day is that?
It's on Fridays.
It's Friday, tomorrow.
Oh, okay, yeah, I heard about that.
Every Friday
Yeah.
at
Thank you for what-
11:55.
You will very likely be speaking there anyway. So, or they will invite you to speak sooner or later.
Thank you.
So, okay, with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we
Debbie
adjourn.
Baker has the motion, and James Kilpatrick has the second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you for being here.